1933 Goudey Willie Kamm. Big League Chewing Gum, number 75 in the set from the Cleveland Indians. Says right here, ranks with the best in fielding his position and is a dependable hitter. Led the third baseman of the American League 6 years in succession. Came up to the Chicago White Sox in 1923. Chicago paid $100,000 in cash and players to get him. He was a hot commodity back in the day. Traded to Cleveland in 31 and last year, so 32, batted .286 in 148 games and fielded .967. So an all-around amazing player on a really cool looking card. These pump me up. That one's centered again, and the coloring looks great. Makes me think they're fake, but they're not. These are real and authentic, and they're real nice cards.
Sweet looking card. I actually, didn't even read the back because I was going to have you check out the back and kind of comment on that. And some of the other things that I looked at that when you started reading the back, I was like, oh, you're stealing all my thunder here.
No!
Not really. But he was actually the first player in Major League history to get a six-figure contract, a minor league contract. So it commented on it in the back, but it is my understanding that he actually was the first player to get a major league contract.
That's something.
Of 6 figures. Yeah, I thought that was
something.
Kind of note. I'm kind of surprised they didn't actually comment on that in the back. On the back of the card, but either way, as far as his career, he played from 1923 to 1935. He played for the White Sox from 1923 to 1930. Part of 31 with the White Sox, and then part of 31 with Cleveland through 35. So I think this is probably his last, baseball card. It's his last card as a player. I'm kind of doubting he had anything made after the fact. They usually keep those for Hall of Famers. Unfortunately, he's not in the Hall of Fame. Did have some really good numbers. His best year was 1928. Batted .308, 84 RBIs. He was actually 5th in the American League in MVP voting, even though he was on a pretty bad team with the White Sox at the time that were actually in 5th place. I think on the back, too, you also commented on some defensive stats. It seems like he was a very good defensive third baseman. In 1933, he set the single-season record, recording a .984 fielding percentage, which actually stood for 14 years. So I think he was a decent hitter, .281, decent on offense. I think probably a little bit more known for his defense, but overall, very solid career with the White Sox and the Indians.
He was born February 2nd, also in 1900. These good old boys on some old cards. And it says right here on the back of his Goudey card, he's fond of all sports.
Really? Okay. I think a lot of these, you want to talk about what goes on now with players, how they just basically, even kids at a young age, specialize in one sport. I'm sure that people back in the early 1900s are laughing at how they treat kids or how kids actually specialize in sports. I'm sure they actually grew up playing a bunch of different sports, and it probably made them better.
True athletes.
Yeah, it makes them better.